Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin.
And you will see that in your bulletin. And I'd even see it in my bulletin if I knew where it was.
Oops.
You won't be able to help yourself, really. It just kind of happens. Here's to the babies in a brand new world. Here's to the beauty in the stars. Here's to the travelers on the open road. And here's to the dreamers in the bars. Here's to the teachers in the crowded rooms. Here's to the workers in the fields. Here's to the preachers of the sacred word. Here's to the drivers at the wheel. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to the winners in the human race. Here's to the losers in the game. Here's to the soldiers of the bitter war. Here's to the wall that bears that name. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. And here's to the doctors in their healing work. Here's to the loved ones in their care. Here's to the strangers on the street tonight. And here's to the lonely everywhere. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to the wisdom from the mouths of babes. Here's to the lions in the cage. Here's to the struggles of the silent war. And here's to the closing of the age. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Let the day start.
Amen.
Thank you, Randy. That.
Yeah, there, I'm there.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not here for you. I'm here for you.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Randy. I always love it when you started out with that. I think it's really great. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. But as we started out this morning, the idea of here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. And I think that's an incredibly nice way to start a day. I always try to remember it in the mornings. So welcome. So very glad to have you all here today. And with that, I'm going to light the Christ candle. And just as a weekly reminder, the reason for lighting this each week is strictly meant to be a visual. It's a visual representation of the Christ light that is within all of us at all points in time. It is always there to call on. And it's never not there, right?
Never not there.
Never, oh, that's double negative.
So it's always there then.
So that makes it a positive.
Yeah, it's always there.
Okay.
Is that okay? I make it up as I go along.
Welcome to the crowd. You've noticed there's quite a bit of that going on today. And now Susan's going to step up here and do the opening prayer, please.
I am. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. And if you feel like it, you can close your eyes, and if not, just be at rest as we open this service, celebrating the very Christ light that dwells within each one of us. Celebrating this glorious day, this beautiful church, and all the blessings from above as we walk into this day, fully present to the light and life of God. And I know in our community, in our state, in our country, in our world, I know that all families are reunited in peace and love and joy. I know that love surrounds us, recognizes us, and lives in and through every breath we take. And so today, whether it is from the words that you hear, or the songs that you sing or hear, or the fellowship of just being together, we are each blessed in the company of this beautiful community. Thank you, God. Thank you, life. Amen.
Amen.
And thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. You want me to keep going?
No, I don't think so, because now we're going to
I was
sing
going to
a song.
introduce him.
Oh,
I could do that. I know how to do that one. We're going to do a congregational song.
I guess I've been fired.
No. It's just, I'm already here, you know.
Well, now I have to come back because I have to get
To get your bulletin.
my words.
In your bulletin, there's a sheet,
It's called Let It Be.
and Rev is going to join or make us sing. And you can stand if
When
you
I
want.
find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. And though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they might see. You guys didn't have this one, did you? There will be an answer, let it be. Here we go. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
Perfect.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah. Fascinating. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the prayer box right here. You will find prayer requests on the back of all of the pews. You are more than welcome to fill one out, and anything that you would like to have put, you can bring it up, put it in the prayer box. You can put it in the brass bowls when they come around. You can put them back there in the prayer corner. And today is the day that Nellie collects them all, and then they are mailed back to Silent Unity, where they are prayed over for an additional 30 days in the Silent Unity Prayer Chapel. So anything that goes in there today goes directly to Unity tomorrow. Okay. John, you have announcements?
Yeah,
You got some announcements.
box with my sheet.
You didn't give me the sheet.
They may not all have some in it.
Maybe?
Hi, gang. Welcome to all of you that made it. I think we have quite a few at the Kite Festival, and maybe kind of living the aftermath of the thing at the casino last night. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. Next week, Reverend Gene Sia, Mike Test will be doing the music. That's always a fun service, so be sure to be here for that. We have a new fundraising project going. I think you may have heard of it, but let me give you a little idea of what it's going to be. That thing is going to arise, and it's going to go up there. And then the back field, roughly 8 by 8, is going to be finished into a movie screen. So we're going to buy what's called a short throw projector, which has to be about that far from the movie screen in order to project a movie or an image.
It'll probably be back here.
So it'll be back there.
Cool.
And we'll use that to show words to the songs.
And
To show
maybe
special
we'll get to the
messages.
point that the songs we have the words for will be the accurate ones.
Yeah,
We're hoping.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it saves paper, it saves ink, so for all of those reasons.
and we will maybe start movie night, because it's a full-scale projector. It can link up to YouTube or Netflix or the cable internet or whatever you want to do. And we can show movies from Unity Village. We can show movies from anywhere. We could watch The Lone Ranger. That would be good.
Yep.
So that's our fundraiser. You have a little blue envelope in your bulletins. The purpose of that is to stuff $100 bills in it, or whatever you care to. And the costs are estimated right at $2,000, and I will pay half of it. So that's what's going on.
Okay, and I'd like to add to this. We've set a goal to have this all up and running by September the 13th. And the reason for that is because September the 13th is the Unity World Day of Prayer. And I got to learn a lot more about this, but I think that they have programs running all day long on the World Day of Prayer. And I think that we can very probably stream it so that what's going on in the village at that point in time, we could be showing on the screen.
And if not, we can always show some old episodes of Mr. Ed. Okay.
But anyway, at this point in time, right now, John announced this 2 weeks ago. And right now, the first week, we took some money in. Now, last week when we did the Father's Day barbecue, everything that was collected from that, even though we threw the barbecue, we put into the Visual Aids Fund. So right now, at this point in time, there's $90 in there already.
So that's a start.
So that is a start.
All right. July 6th from 7 to 9 p.m. in the sanctuary at Salem Unity. John Meyer. And John is our musician here on some Sunday a month.
Keeps getting mixed up.
Second Sunday. Yeah, John's with us on second Sunday. He's doing a concert that evening at Salem Unity to help with their campaign to generate enough cash to put in a new heating and air system. So we have flyers on this out on the table. There's also kinds of junk out on the table. Take a look at it, take it home.
That's on July the 6th from
7 to 9.
7 until...
And that'd be a fun thing to go to if you have an
And
opportunity.
also, part of what John is doing with this is he's tying part of it in to Charles Bush's program of the Fields of Peace. And the idea of, like your little card that you have in your bulletin about I will not be the party of killing any child. Part of what John is going to be doing is recognizing that. So he's incorporating some of Charles's ideas in his concert.
Okay, that's all I got to talk about. I'm going to go sit down.
Okay.
I'm on art and crafts.
Pardon me?
Art and crafts.
What about
What about arts and crafts?
I was from art and crafts when I was at my friends. Friends are at.
Your old friends are stressed.
Yeah, my old friends on art and crafts.
Where church is
The other church.
Yeah. Okay.
The other church. From the Max Church.
Okay. Well, now I think we're going to do our monthly affirmations. So if you will take your cards from your bulletin, we'll start with the one for Unity by the Sea, please. Moving forward in love, Unity by the Sea is a joyous expression of Christ. And then for ourselves, moving forward in love, I am a joyous expression of Christ. Okay, thank you so much. And now it's time for the daily word, and I do believe that I'm going to be reading it today. The word is empowered. I am empowered to bring my highest good into expression. The Gospel of John shares how the crippled man at the pool of Bethesda learned the words and rituals that could lead to his healing, even though he had not been able to achieve that goal. Jesus demonstrated that the true answer was much simpler. Quote, "Stand up, take your mat, and walk." Unquote. The faith demonstrated through the simple act of standing was all that was necessary to overcome the apparent limitations in which he had been living. I may have caused myself great confusion in the past because I believed the power necessary to live a spiritually centered life could be found outside myself. Today I know that I am innately empowered to make the choices that will bring my highest good into expression. From Joshua 1:9, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And I think Drandy's going to do a song for us now.
I'm gonna do a song. In the frantic game of choosing, in fear of loss and losing, temptation ever calling, is there a method so enthralling that will lead me quite rightly and right for all eternity? And in the list of names and places, is there one among all the faces, someone who knows better where I should direct my letter? And will information, more information, deliver me from my isolation? Well, stop all your confusion, fear and illusion, and go alone to sanctuary and hear answers to your mystery. Do nothing till you hear Nothing till you hear. Nothing till you hear from me. In the spaces between thoughts' places, and in the hum of creation's workshop, beyond your mind in eternity's blind and offer of peace unknown before. Stop all your confusion. All your fear and illusion. Go alone to sanctuary and hear answers to your mystery. Do nothing till you hear. Nothing till you hear. Nothing till you hear from me. Nothing till you hear, nothing till you hear, nothing till you hear from me.
Thank you, Randy. I like that. Do nothing till you hear from me. Stop being silly and listen to God. It is like a fabulous message. I could redo my talk now if you want.
I was hoping it'd be close enough.
Oh, no, actually it is. Good morning. I'm back. There are two places I can start, so I'll start in the middle. Today's talk is called Letting It Go. But it could have been about letting it be, and it could be about forgive, forgive, forgive. It could, it encompasses all possibilities. So back in April, I got to speak, and I used a 6-line prayer by James O'Day that he called Soul Awakening. And I'm going to read that right now just to sort of set the stage for today's chapter. So just take a moment and breathe. And just let the words float into your consciousness. Soul awakening, heart opening, light shining, love flowing, wounds dissolving, peace radiating. So back in April, I talked about, I didn't start at the beginning because why would I do that, right? So in April, I spoke about light shining, the very light of Christ that lives in and through each one of us, letting our light shine, taking off the lampshade and allowing that to shine out into the world. Then last month, I took the next statement, love flowing, and reminded us that we all kind of know how we give love out into our world, but sometimes we forget to let it in. So allowing love to flow in a circular way, just like we breathe. Now the next line of the prayer is wounds dissolving. And first I apologize because the last 2 months I did not read the prayer appropriately because I said wounds healing. That's not how I say the prayer every day, but that's what I gave to you. Well, I know why. Wounds dissolving, I looked at that and thought, really? That's the next step in the prayer? Can I do that? That's huge. And what does that mean anyway? I mean, we know how wounds heal, right? We know how wounds heal. You get a cut or surgery or somebody says something to you and you're wounded. There's a wound. And physically, you see blood sometimes or some sort of liquid coming out of your body and you go, ick. And you put antiseptic on it to clean it all up because you want it nice and clean. You don't want a dirty wound, for heaven's sakes. And even if that's surgery, they antisept everything, my no word. And then eventually you get a scab. And if you're patient, the scab falls off. And if you're not patient, like me, you pick at it and, oh look, it bleeds again, and you have to start the whole process over. And then finally there's a scar. There it is, proud owner of a scar because of whatever. A cat scratch, fell off a chair when I was 5 years old, and I still have that scar. I have a surgery scar. Scars, we have scars, we know what they are. They've healed. Our emotional scars. Someone bullies us, pushes us down, forgets that we exist. Things happen in our lives, often starting way back in our little youth. And we bandage them up. Go, yeah, I'm not going to let that happen to me again. And the internal scab happens, and somebody says something again, or bullies us again, or something happens, and it's like, oh, that emotional, internal, spiritual wound gets reopened. So we push it down, we heal it, we heal that. And eventually we have a scar, which are emotional scars. So what was the difference? Healing, dissolving, why should that make a difference to James O'Day's prayer? Well, because when in question, when in doubt, I turn to Webster's dictionary. So Webster says healing, or to heal, is to make whole. Okay. To mend. To patch up. Okay, yeah, scars. I know what those are. So what's this whole dissolving thing? Well, to dissolve, says Webster, is to cause to disperse or disappear. Oh. To disintegrate. To terminate, to annul. And one of the best visuals that Merriam-Webster gave me was to cause to pass into solution. To cause to pass into solution. And the example they gave is, you have a glass of clear water, you have a teaspoon of sugar, which you can see every granule, and you put it in that glass of water, and you know what? There is no sugar anymore. It has dissolved. It is gone. There is no scar. Ooh, okay. So once again, I said, Lord, really? Wounds dissolving? This is big. This is big. So we kind of know what we do with our physical scars, because some of the cat scratches have dissolved or have been covered over by freckles, so I can't see them anymore. But my emotional scars, okay, that's different. And up till about last October, I really had no understanding of what dissolving an emotional wound was about. And that was when I took this 4-week class. Reverend Christine Green offered a teleconference, and our only assignment was to read that prayer daily. And on Friday mornings, we would come and discuss it on the telephone. And so, okay, so the first couple weeks, there was maybe 12, 14 people on the teleconference call, and we each are having our own experience of what this prayer is meaning to us. And, Christine didn't suggest that we buy the book, but I did. I hadn't really read any of it, but I bought it because I knew it was going to be a good source. Well, about week 3, I had a crummy week. I cried. I was cranky, I was irritable, I wanted to crawl under a blanket and hide. Find me a cave, please don't let me talk to anybody. because I was cranky. And I didn't know why. There was nothing in my outside world to say, this is happening to you. There was nothing. It was like I racked my brain. I looked around the house. There was nothing causing me to have all this suffering. I was like, what is this? So at our Friday meeting, I'm listening to all these beautiful participants talking about how they were recognizing love flowing and their heart opening and this, that. And beloved Christine Green always keeps track of who shared and who hasn't. And so towards the end of our call, it's like, yeah, I figure I have to share now. And I said, you know, Reverend Christine, I've listened to everything that's been said today, and I got to tell you, this week was horrible. It was as though I was crawling through mud and ashes and soot and dirt, and I don't know why. There is nothing in my life that suggests all this yuck that I'm feeling. And so we talked, and now often Reverend Christine and I are on the same page, so I don't know who said it. I know we both agreed that it sounded like I was having a spiritual wound dissolving. And so I decided I would just agree with this. It's like, that sounds good. Okay, well, let's move on, because I don't like this ick. But I didn't think about it again. I didn't think about it again. I went, okay, so someplace on some spiritual level, some unconscious level, something is healing. Thank you, God. It would be nice to know what it is, but, in your time, not my time. Wait and listen. I'll tell you what you need to know. So it wasn't for several months later that the awakening happened, the soul awakening. So I'm going to back up a little bit. I retired from the City of Portland City Attorney's Office almost 6 years ago now. Praise God. I worked there for 32 and a half years. I started out a receptionist, and I worked my way up into being an IT software guru for the legal department. Okay, God did that. I didn't do that of myself. And the thing is, when I left there, I needed to get out of there. I was no longer happy. I was no longer a good person. Talk about crawling through mud and ashes. That's the way my last 3 or 4 years were at that office. But I had to wait till I was 55, so 2 days after I was 55, I was out of there. But since then, anytime the city attorney's office or the city of Portland would come up in conversation or anything, I'd get these feelings. And the face that showed up was a coworker, also named Christine, but don't get her confused with Christine Green. This Christine was a coworker, and she was a coworker that I actually hired way back when. And she too worked her way up the ladder, and about 4 or 5 years before I left, she was promoted into a position that needed to supervise staff. Well, we were the city attorney's office, so she couldn't supervise legal staff. She had to supervise non-legal. And there were only 3 of us. And even though we were equals on pay grades, we were equals in responsibility, equals in all things, on paper, she became my supervisor. And that rattled a little bit. I admit it. It sort of bothered me. But not to the point that, 5 years later, I still see her face and feel creepy. What is it about Christine? And for 5 years, my beloved spiritual mentor and I did forgiveness practices over and over and over and over. And it would get a little better, but still I had that feeling of ugh whenever I thought about it. So last February, Reverend Marjorie said, well, let's try it a different way. We'll try a different forgiveness prayer. Like, okay, whatever. I'm willing. I'm willing because I don't know. I didn't think I hated her. Well, so I sat in my chair and I started my practice. And I thought, wait, don't just start the practice. Let's think about this. What is it about Christine that drives you nuts? Well, Christine is perky and happy, and she jumps up and helps everybody and everybody. Not necessarily in the manner I would help people, because for me, healing a computer problem meant really fixing it down deep, and she was healing on the surface level so that people could get their work done. They're both totally valid ways. So why does she... Oh, wait a minute. I used to be her. I used to be happy and joyous and helping and serving. And I lost it. Not because of Christine, I lost it because the work kept piling and piling and piling on my specialty, and there was no one else to help. And I was drowning, and I got cranky and morose, and I crawled through mud and ashes. It wasn't Christine that was the problem, it was me. I was jealous. I was jealous that I had lost what Christine was still maintaining. That immediate helpfulness, that immediate joy, that absolutely let me serve, let me do this for you. I don't know how to do it, but I'll give it my best. I was jealous. So my forgiveness process worked differently. It wasn't about, I forgive Christine for whatever she's done. No, 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 no. It's Susan. I forgive Susan for forgetting who I am. I forgive me for forgetting that I am a joyous expression of God, of Christ. I'm a joyous expression. I am not jealous. So for the next week, not months, week, I did this practice. I forgave myself. And that's when I recognized that emotional wound, that soul wound, dissolved. It was nothing. There was nothing. There is nothing. Otherwise, I couldn't have spoken about it today. Because I can speak about it with joy. I had joy in the city attorney's office. I learned things I never thought I could do. Christine, one of the reasons we hired her in the first place is that she was so much like me. It's like, whoa! Wounds dissolving. Wounds dissolving. Horrible wounds. Some of them are horrible wounds. So, there's a quote, one of my quotes here, I'll even use it. Natalie from the Dixie Chicks wrote a song, and one of the phrases in it, I hate you for bringing out the worst in me. Whoa! Christine was my face of dislike, because somehow when I saw her, I was taken back to being the grumpy person I was when I left the city attorney's office. I was grumpy. I was snarly. I didn't like myself. Healed. And how forgiveness, forgive. Forgive other people, forgive slights, forgive insults, and then turn it around and look at your mirror and see where you are. Have you forgiven yourself? Looking at those things that might have caused soul scars or emotional scars. You know, some of us were bullied, some of us were bullies. Some of us received insults or name calling or this or that, and they started when we were itty bitty. And we took them in, and sometimes that changed our behavior. Sometimes we just, swept it under a rug and allowed it to be a scar. One of my very, very, very good friends, when he was 5 years old, 5-year-old little boy, all excited because it was his birthday, everyone forgot. Everyone. Not a friend, not a family member, not his parents, nobody remembered it was his birthday. And he was a strong little boy, so he went, fine. They remembered a couple days later and they celebrated. What's the big deal? Now, my friend Will still carries this emotional scar. He doesn't celebrate birthdays. They don't mean anything to him. Because he, on his 5th birthday, was forgotten by his parents. He hardly celebrates other people's birthday. Christmas is okay because everybody celebrates that, right? But not birthdays. He doesn't care. You know, and he's 75 years old now. He doesn't celebrate. So the soul wounds, the emotional wounds, they go back years, and some of them you may not care to heal. It's like, whatever. But you have the opportunity to look at your life differently, to look at some of those places in your life that you know are at least minor turning points, and look at it and say, could I have done this differently? Can I heal this now? Can I forgive them or my little self or my adult self for feeling that way? Because you can. You can. The Unity magazine, May 31st, talked about forgiveness. And it started out, forgiveness opens a place in my heart for peace and love. Forgiveness does not condone or overlook the behavior. It does, however, unshackle me from negative feelings. It also keeps me from living my life in blame. Forgiveness is not necessarily about the other person or the condition. It's unchaining you from emotions you don't need anymore. Blame, shame, guilt, dislike, hate, sadness. The ending statement that the Daily Word said was, I feel God's blessing as I replace seemingly justified resentment with forgiveness. I have opened a place in my heart for the full expression of peace and love. So I listened this week to James Corden doing his car karaoke with Paul McCartney. And what they normally do is they drive around and they sing the celebrity songs and have a great time. Well, in this one, Paul McCartney took it a step further, and they drove around Liverpool. They drove down Penny Lane and they were singing Penny Lane. They went into the barber shop on Penny Lane because that's in the song. So Paul was just totally opening up about his childhood. And they actually went to his childhood home, which still exists and still has pictures of the family in it. And in there, he told a story. His mother had passed away. He didn't say how long it had been, but it seemed like the story was telling us it had been recent. And he was in his little bed and he was asleep. And while he was sleeping, he had this dream that his mother was standing by his bed saying, it'll be okay, just let it be. It'll be okay, just let it be. And Paul then told James and the rest of us that he woke up with the greatest sense of peace he'd ever felt. And he thought about it and thought about the dream like, what did she say? Let it be. And that's where this song comes from. It comes from his soul awakening. It comes from his healing of this devastating loss. In my hour of darkness, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it go. Allow yourself to heal you. Let them, the Christines in the world, take care of themselves. Look at your own wounds, and some of them are small, some of them are cat scratches, or the equivalent. Allow yourself to be free, to be that heavenly light of Christ that you are. that allows love to flow in and through you. Let your wounds heal. One of my other favorite quotes from the week. It's some of the last words attributed to Jesus. He said, "Forgive them, they know not what they are doing." And most of us say he's talking to Father, Abba, Father, forgive these people, they know not what they're doing, they don't know who I am. But what if we take it to a different level? What if he was talking to his disciples? What if he was talking to his family, to his beloved Mary, Mother of God? Saying, family, friends, disciples, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. You've heard my teaching. You follow the commandments. Forgive them. Let them go. Be who I've taught you to be. Forgive them. They know not what they do. Forgive yourself. You didn't know. Some of these wounds that happened when you were 2 or 3 or 5 or 50, you didn't know. On some level, you know, your conscious mind is up here working. We understand scars on our skin and body. And to, you know, be the good neighbor, be the good friend, be the good steward. You stuff all that other stuff down. Oh, I'll deal with it later. And 60 years later, a wound dissolves into nothingness. Nothingness. So Ernest Holmes, that was one of my spiritual teachers, reading Ernest Holmes, his whole philosophy is built on the idea, change your thinking, change your life. Change you. Let them deal with themselves. Change your thinking about how you perceive you. Then you can be the best possible you can ever be. And in fact, you already are. You already are. Just as you show up here in the morning, just as you welcome your neighbors, just as you live your life, you are perfect right now in the very eyes of God, in the very eyes of your family. You are. You are. Forgive yourself. You didn't know what you were doing. Let it be. Let it be. So we're just going to do a short meditation. And as we go into the silence, just keep breathing in and out. And while you're taking those breaths, knowing that you are radiant light, you can allow your mind to scroll back to an incident that, might be an emotional wound. As you inhale and breathe in radiant love that flows to you, as you exhale, let it also flow from you. And as you inhale and breathe in radiant wisdom, exhale and let your shoulders drop and let it be. And taking just a couple moments of silence, if you're willing, scroll through to something that maybe happened when you were a kid, maybe happened last week that made you feel like you were crawling through mud. And don't necessarily look at the people around you, but look at yourself and how did you respond? How did you feel? Was it like, oh, yeah, there it goes again. That's happened to me before. Gosh, I'm tired of it. Or was it, haven't I healed that already? Do I have to go through this trial and tribulation again? And as you sit there with it for a moment, See if you can envision a holy light. And it may be a person, it may be an idea. It may in fact be the Holy Mother, the compassionate heart of God, whispering softly into your heart, into your soul. Let it be. Let it go. Allow it to dissolve into the nothingness from whence it came, for you are the divine wisdom of your life. You are the divine love of your life. God is always there, right there in your soul. The path of Jesus is always there, right in your thoughts. Let it be. Let it be. For your soul is awakening. Your heart is opening. Your light is shining. Your love is flowing. Your wounds are dissolving. And peace radiates through every fiber of your being. Amen.